Hello out there to the fellow believers or non-believers or just people who are slightly interested in such nonsense. Welcome to That Bigfoot Show. I'll be your host, Taylor James Johnson. Now I know there's a lot of Bigfoot shows out there, and I guess your first question to the host is, do they believe or not? Well, yes, I do believe. And I guess your next question to the host, that would be me, Taylor James Johnson, is, have you ever seen a Bigfoot? And my answer would be no. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I will tell you what I have seen, what I have encountered, and I will tell you what I have not. And I will tell you what I believe, and I will tell you what I do not believe. And what I can say is I believe in Bigfoot. I just haven't seen him. Why would you believe such ridiculous things? Why, oh why, oh why? Well, I understand. I understand that this concept, that this topic can be rather silly. I get it. So let me go through my crypto credentials. Well, like a lot of people, I have always been interested in cryptozoology. Actually, my first trip to the library, I wasn't interested in any books because I couldn't read. I was interested in one book, and that book was called Bigfoot. I don't know who wrote it, but this book opened my eyes, it opened my mind to a new mysterious world, and it allowed me to ask questions like, do we really know everything that's out there? And I must have been in like kindergarten or something, whatever age that is. It's pretty young. And ever since then, I have been fascinated. Any film, any documentary that has Bigfoot in the title, I'm gonna watch. And I actually have made films of my own that cover the topic of cryptozoology. And I didn't always 100% believe. I couldn't always fully confidently look someone in the eye and say, yes, Bigfoot is real. Sasquatch is real. I mean, I've always felt it, I've always believed it, but I couldn't actually say it with 100% confidence until fairly recently when I was on a film shoot interviewing some witnesses. And I've filmed, witnesses before, but there's this particular group of witnesses. They would share their stories, and it wasn't necessarily their stories. It was the stories of their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers. And what really struck me about these stories that fully convinced me that this is a real thing is that these people, of course, all their stories were the same, but when they told the stories from the pre-Patterson Gimlin film era, before Bigfoot was a part of the pop culture, like Bigfoot wasn't a thing, and these people, their great grandparents would basically, they would rough it. They would live in the woods sometimes, and sometimes they would see what they would call, just the hairy people that lived in the woods. And I know to us, to the modern, sophisticated mind of today, that sounds like really weird, but to them it was just a thing, it was just the hairy people in the woods, and they didn't have the Discovery Channel or Animal Planet to report it to, and they wouldn't have reported it anyway because they didn't know that it was a thing unknown to science. And it wasn't this science fiction unknown phenomenon thing that they had to, call every scientist, call the FBI and report it. It wasn't like that. They were just the hairy people in the woods. And hearing these stories fully convinced me. Maybe I'm not convincing you, but looking into their eyes, I knew they were telling the truth. And that's why I believe, amongst other things. And another reason why I believe that Sasquatch could very well be a real thing is because, creatures like the mountain gorilla, the Komodo dragon, the snow leopard, many others were considered mythical creatures. But now you can just go down to your local zoo and see most of them. So, like the mountain gorilla, it was a myth not too long ago. And how could something that big hide from humanity for so long? And actually, they haven't. One of the other reasons why I believe in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, the booger, whatever you want to call it, if you go all over the world, you will find reports of these types of creatures. Bipedal, hairy humanoids. Anywhere you can go in the world, you will find something. Whoa, stepped in a Bigfoot hole there. And you have these creatures in mythology and in legends and in history in every single culture. You've got paintings on caves. This thing was not just something somebody made up in the 50s with a wooden foot. And these creatures have existed in so many cultures. It's very diverse. And so it just makes me feel like, how can this one thing just be made up? Yeah, you got reports, Vietnam, the Himalayas, every single state in the United States of America, except for Hawaii, I think, but they got their own stuff. And for the people who say, well, Taylor, there's not enough evidence, the science is settled. I hate the word hate, but I hate when people say the science is settled, because that is the most anti-scientific thing you could possibly say. Science is never settled. Science should always be encouraging the search for the unknown, no matter how ridiculous it is. And actually, it's not that ridiculous if you really think about it. So I'm always going to be open to the idea of a Sasquatch or a Sasquatch-like creature, because I don't have enough faith to say that I know everything that's out there. And the second that we, as human beings, stop asking questions, no matter how ridiculous they are, the second we stop going on expeditions to the unknown, the second we stop believing is the second that we as humans have failed. Always think outside the box. Never ever say, I know what's out there. Because you don't. You who do not believe have just as much proof and evidence as I do. But all in all, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, it has been a topic that has fascinated me my whole life. Whether it is the myth, the real creature, or just the Sasquatch's effects on pop culture, whether it be, beef jerky commercials or classic films. I like it all. And we're gonna cover it all. Because this is That Bigfoot Show. Yes, that one. So there you have it, the first episode of That Bigfoot Show. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope you laughed a little bit more. And I hope that this video inspired you to go out and find Bigfoot. And if you found him, give me credit. So I'll leave everybody with this thought right here. The great Jane Goodall actually believes in Bigfoot. And her reasoning is that she's a romantic. And she's somebody you should respect a lot more than me. And yeah, what's more romantic than, big hairy guy in the woods? So thanks for joining us. If you've had any sightings or encounters or know anybody, please contact us and we'll look into it and possibly talk about it and talk to you on the show. Thank you for joining us, and this is That Bigfoot Show. Yeah, that one.